Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yeukai Ketchadori.
Hello, and welcome to the greatest show on planet Earth. I love to say that. Thanks again for joining us here on the Business Show. We truly honor you and love having you here. And thank you. There's so much happening in the community, and you are part of that community, spreading the word out there. Truly appreciate you. And today, we have another special guest, and we are going to find out how our guests got started, some of the things that they did, and perhaps, in fact, I'll tell you the reason why we take time to talk about how others got started, what are their success, because we can learn from other people's failures, you know that, and we can also learn from other people's success. We can also learn about other people's stumbling blocks or those blockages along the way. So we are going to have a great time. Now, before I introduce our guest here today, I want to encourage you, if you're not yet already part of our community, you need to become part of the community. It's very easy. There is a link below this recording that you just click and you'll be taken straight to the community. And once you are in there, don't be an spectator. Be a participant. Ask questions. Talk about what's working for you. If you've got any questions that you need help with, ask. We are on the same ship. We want to do the same things. We all want to succeed. We all want to do very well. We all want to contribute. We all want to be loved. Let's go and make it happen in there. Well, enough of that. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And I know there's a few people that don't know your background, or your education or your experience in this area. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, what you've done, some of the people you've helped, and why our conversation here is relevant? And perhaps you could just add in there the last one, were you an overnight success? If not, what is it that you did that has kept you on the path, for you to become the exceptional success that you are today?
Thank you. That's a great question. The reality is that I was a successful marketing consultant and freelance copywriter for many years. And in my mid-40s, I had to have a divorce. I had an 11-year-old son, and life was very challenging for me. And it was starting to affect my career because there were so many family conflict issues. And I moved ahead with a divorce with my ex, and we had so many issues and challenges that came up regarding co-parenting, and I realized that we had to get this right for the sake of my son. So we learned a tremendous amount and moved through the divorce process into the co-parenting process into raising my son to an adult, and we made it through. We learned a lot, and we did a lot together. And my son grew up to be a wonderful young man. And one day, out of the blue, when my son was in his early 20s, he came to me and he said, Ma, you and Daddy did a really good job with your divorce, and I want to thank you, because most of my friends whose parents divorced either hate their parents or are very angry at them. And I thought you guys did a really good job. And I was so shocked and surprised and caught off guard by this. And I said to myself, wow, there's a lot that I learned. There's a lot that we learned. There's a lot of things I understand about divorcing with kids that can help other people, especially people who are in the business world and are distracted with so many other things beyond just the parenting equation. And yet, if you don't get the parenting correct, things are not going to work out well in your business life and in your personal life. And so I founded the Child-Centered Divorce Network, and became a divorce and co-parenting coach. And because I had a writing background, I created several books and e-courses and e-programs for families on breaking the divorce news to kids, co-parenting effectively, anger management for co-parents, and other related topics to help people before, during, and long, long after divorce, make the best decisions. And yes, it became a very successful business for me. I've been doing it for the last 15 plus years because it became my passion project. It's what I care most about. And I love helping people move through the divorce process into the co-parenting process as successfully as possible without harming their own business life, their professional life, and all of the other things that are so important to them.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Love that. I appreciate what you just shared there because, I can see myself in there and in some of those things. In fact, I don't know, maybe just me, in talking to so many people, I find that there is some similarities in what all of us as entrepreneur business owners go through. And this, again, helps anybody who's coming into our world to find out that whatever they're going through is not quite unique to them. It happens to all of us. It's a journey that we all go through. Let's talk about some of the roadblocks that you had to face earlier on and how you overcame them.
Among the roadblocks that I faced was an anxiety and fear of, am I doing this right? Am I hurting my child? Am I scarring him? And is his life going to be negatively impacted because of this divorce? Is my career going to be negatively impacted? Am I going to be able to communicate well with my co-parent and stop the conflict that we were having before the divorce? All of those were issues that I had to address. And slowly, we both learned, my co-parent and I, how to address issues, how to communicate successfully, how to talk to one another, how to plan. And I realized that we were in this together for the rest of our lives. And so we had to make smart decisions that were parenting decisions and not about either one of us being right or wrong, but what's best for our child. And that became one of the foundations of the work that I do in the Child-Centered Divorce Network, is helping parents understand that the more you cooperate and collaborate with one another after divorce, the easier life is going to be for the children you love and the less scarred they're going to be. And that became a huge factor in my own success with the divorce, but in raising my son to be a happy, well-adjusted adult. And I'm so grateful for that.
Awesome. And did you have any tools or resources that you used earlier on in this area?
Basically, I created several co-parenting tools that I learned work best for us. I created an ebook model where I had family photos before the divorce, during happy times, vacations, holidays, all of the good times that we experienced as a family. And I mentioned in this photo album that I put together with the pictures, the text talking about the fact that life had been better in the past and mom and dad are not getting along well together now, but life is going to be better in the future. And we're going to work on it to make it so. And I created 6 key messages that every child of divorce needs to hear and understand. And that was very, very helpful because it reminded parents that your children are never to blame, that they're always innocent, and that they need to understand that they need to be safe and secure during the process, and that both parents will always be their parents and both parents will always love them. And that this is about change and not about blame. So I understood that it's very important that we don't point fingers to one another, blaming each other and saying, if it wasn't for your dad having an affair or your mom becoming an alcoholic or whatever the situation is, then we wouldn't have a divorce, because this is not appropriate for children to hear. And when you are mindful of what children are experiencing and put yourself in their shoes, it makes all the difference in creating a better outcome for the divorce and the post-divorce time, which is the rest of their life and your life with them. And so these answers were very effective, and that became an ebook that parents customize. I created several e-courses and other programs on anger management for co-parents and successful co-parenting strategies. And all of those tools and resources have stayed with me over the last 15 plus years. as I've used them with clients, because I do coaching one-on-one nationally and internationally. And those resources are available for people who don't get personal coaching, but they still have access to the tools, and especially communication tools, which are the most important thing for people to learn and understand and take advantage of. So those resources became an important part of the entire child-centered divorce network.
I think I know the answer to my next question here, but for the benefit of everybody listening, especially my dear friend Bill over there, Bill, don't worry. I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot there, brother, but let's just dive deep. Did you have any early mentors, or did you figure out all this by yourself?
At the time, there weren't a lot of resources available to talk about how to be a good co-parent. And so I read books and I learned as much as I could, but basically I did have to figure much of it out on my own and realize the mistakes to make. And because I had a background in writing and in mental health and communication skills, I realized that the caliber of our communication skills was going to make all the difference in the success of this co-parenting relationship. How to talk to one another, how to avoid conflict and diffuse conflict, how to catch my ex doing things right and acknowledging him for it and not being petty. So being as cooperative and collaborative as we can be with one another in the divorce process, and more importantly, in the post-divorce process when we were co-parenting. And so we learned not to fight around our son, not to badmouth one another to him. We learned that there's ways of talking so that you're not creating more stress in one another's life, and that the more flexible we are in helping one another as co-parents, the easier life was for both of us and for our child. And it just made the process get smoother and smoother. So there was a lot that we learned. There was a lot that we learned through our own experience, and it all has paid off in my being able to help people to a much greater degree as clients as they move through their own experiences, and because I know what it was like for them and can help them unravel a lot of the snarls.
I thought you would say that because I personally had both. I had the mentors, which I'm so grateful. Some of them are now my friends at this stage. And the funny thing is, I'm also their mentor on certain aspects of things. So it's a funny world that we live in, because, they mentor me on one aspect of business, and I mentor them now on another aspect of business, because you cannot know everything in the world of business. That's why you need mentors, you need advisors, all people who have got different expertise. So I love what you've just shared there. And also, I had to discover certain things myself. You just have to go in there and you know that, okay, this works and this doesn't. So a combination of the two has worked specifically for me. Let's talk about your first major breakthrough in this area. How did it come about, and what did it do for you in your own belief about your abilities and perhaps in this concept?
Yes, my first major breakthrough was in breaking the news to my son about the divorce, which was extremely stressful and tense experience. I was up for weeks of sleepless nights trying to figure out how to make it happen. And finally, I came up with the idea of the storybook concept of adding family photos to texts that I had written to reassure my son that we're going to move through this as a family, and that we will always be a family. We will always love him. And it's the form of the family that's changing from living together in one home to now living in two separate homes, but time with mom, time with dad, and the love for mom and dad always being there consistently. And it became a very successful book that I created, a photo album with pictures and text that I gave him. And it became the text for the conversation. And I realized that if I created an ebook for parents, they can customize some of the details about their own family, but use a lot of the message that I've created and provided. And that became my signature book, most popular book, How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce? Create a storybook guide for doing divorce right for the children you love. And it's remarkable how effective it's been with clients all over the world. So the story was that using this storybook as a script kept both parents on the same page before and during the conversation, which is such a difficult conversation. And it also gave the children the ability to have something they could hold on to and read and reread in the weeks and months ahead after the first conversation, reminding them of the major points that are so important. It's been very successful. It's worked very well. I'm very proud of this ebook as a breakthrough resource for me. And it's available to this day for families who are contemplating divorce and want to initiate the conversation in the best possible way.
So how long did it take you to get to where you are today?
So I've been doing this for a little over 16 years now. And it was a gradual process that built up year after year as I learned more and could share more with other families. And what is very interesting about the way I approach divorce coaching is that I not only coach individual parents who are divorcing, but I like to talk to both parents together, both moms and dads together about the issues so that they understand that I'm dispassionate and impartial and not siding either way with mom or dad. I'm siding with the children. I'm taking the part of the children and helping parents make the best decisions on the children's behalf. And that really helps them get off on the right start on the right page with one another, realizing that regardless of the issues that parents may have, it's putting the children first that makes all the difference in the future of both of their lives as parents and as co-parents, and watching their children progress without the stress and the emotional and psychological distress that too many children are facing when their parents are divorcing.
I've discovered that people understand certain concepts through stories. And I'm wondering, is there any one particular story or example you would like to share that really sums up your early experience in this area?
Yes. So I was coaching a couple, and the husband was very, very upset because the wife did have an affair, and that's what broke up the marriage. And he wanted very much to share this information with his children, who were, I think it was 9 and 12 years old at the time, and tell them that we wouldn't be divorcing. This wasn't my idea. This is because your mom had an affair, and it just broke our marriage apart. And I had to explain to this father, who obviously loved his children, as the mother did, that this was not the kind of information that is good for children to know, children of any age, even older teens. The general rule is that we don't share adult information with children unless they're able to fix the situation by knowing this information. And obviously, there isn't any child who can fix a broken marital relationship. It's not their place. They don't have the mental, emotional capacity to fix it. It's hard enough for adults to fix it. And so by telling them information like that, what does it do to the relationship with the mother? What does it do to the relationship with the father? What good does that do for children to have that information? There's nothing positive coming from it. And if when the children are grown adults, you feel it's important to take them aside and explain the reason you had the divorce, well, that's a decision you can make when your children are in their 20s or 30s, but not today. And fortunately, this father got it. He got the message. He understood that what our primary interest is protecting the children that both of them love and having a healthy co-parenting relationship with both children and having the children grow up in a healthy mindset. We never want our children to be parenting us as parents. our role is to parent them. So we have to be very mindful of what we tell them and what we share with them, and not become confidants of theirs or friends of theirs, or letting them take care of our emotional needs. We need to reach out to professionals for that. The story ended up very good because they had a successful divorce and co-parenting experience after that, because they understood that putting their children's needs first was a plus and a win-win for everyone in the family. And it worked out that way.
Indeed. I'm just wondering, how is the world in this area different now than when you got started? Because I can imagine that things are quite different from when you started back then.
Yes, things have changed dramatically since I first got my divorce back in the 90s. And it's wonderful to know that there are many more resources available, because back then there wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of help. And so I felt very alone and unsupported and unprotected. And today there are many professionals out there that we can turn to. And especially I try to encourage families to use mediation as opposed to litigation. Keep out of the courts. Don't let major decisions in your family dynamic be decided by judges or attorneys, as well-meaning as they are. No one knows your children as well as you do. And take advantage of the expertise of divorce coaches and mediators and family-oriented legal people, because there's a big difference between those who are just interested in dollarly hours versus the family dynamics and the well-being of you and your family. So be very mindful about that, very careful about that. Take advantage of all the resources, the books and programs and groups that are available. And always at childcentereddivorce.com, you'll find free resources, ebooks, articles, and other valuable material to help you through every facet of the divorce experience.
Mm. I'm curious, if you had to start all over again in this area, in today's world, with today's tools, time constraints, which you all have, and other factors, what would you do perhaps differently, more of, or perhaps even less of, or maybe faster? What would you do different? Or maybe you would not do at all? I'm curious if you could help us maybe paint a better picture of what we can expect now.
Thanks for asking that. I think today we have so many more resources and more enlightened professionals who are talking about divorcing with children than ever before. So I would take advantage of more of these tools and resources, and I would be able to feel more encouraged that there are people who understand what I'm talking about and what I'm needing. Back when I was divorcing, that there wasn't nearly as many resources available, or people who understood what is a child-centered divorce and why is it so important to keep out of litigation, keep out of the courts, keep out of the giving your family dynamic over to other people making decisions. So today I would do much more in the mental health, emotional health arena, and focus more on what's best for my family, what's best for my children, what's best for communication skills. Learning more communication skills and better communication skills is really a win-win for everyone in the family. And learning how to handle conflict is very important. So I would put more energy in that direction. And that's what I try to do with my programs. And that's why I created the Anger Management for Co-Parents program, because there's a lot of people who don't know how to handle the intense emotions that are connected to the divorce experience and the stress of running a business and being divorced and all of that. And so learning how to manage anger and stress is very, very important and be more successful. And I would put more attention on that if I was doing it over earlier on. And that's what I focus on for my clients.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And in your opinion, where should people like me, business owners, focus their efforts if they want to succeed in both the short term and the long term?
Since my attention is on being successful in business when you also have the distraction of a major life challenge such as divorce, then I would put my effort and energy on communication skills and remembering that every person wants to be heard and validated and understood. So start with your children. Your children need a lot of attention and they need to feel that you care about them despite your business challenges, that you can't put your family aside. It's very important that the family has to come first as a priority in your life, and they have to feel that they're important and that they're loved. Very often we forget to tell them that they're loved and valued. We get so caught up in the reality of whatever our business challenges is and takes us into, and we forget to focus on the family dynamic. It's a tough balance. We all know that, but it's an important one to prevent divorce and breakup, and also to heal when there are issues and family drama that takes place. And that's inevitable. Family drama is going to take place no matter what relationship you're in. And you want to make sure that the people that matter most to you know that they're loved and cared about, and that you're not just focused on the business dynamic in your life, because that is not a healthy life dynamic to be in. And it certainly will emotionally and psychologically scar the other members of your family, and especially the children you love.
Awesome. I'm a great believer in tools, be it online or offline, to help speed the whole thing. In your experience or in your professional expertise, what sort of tools would you recommend that business owners like me needs to use, or perhaps just know about?
Yes, today there are many tools that are created, especially for divorced co-parents. Online scheduling tools such as Our Family Wizard, which is just one of many, and you could Google co-parenting scheduling tools to see a list of many of them. They're not expensive, and they keep all the details of your co-parenting experience in a very clear, safe place so that both parents can access that. So if there's changes in visitation details and dates and times, if the children have school issues that come up, if there's medical issues, health issues, even the size shoes that your children are wearing, all of that can be placed in one place where both of you can find it and access it. It's very important to remember not to use your children as messengers between parents. So don't say to Johnny, tell mom I'm going to be an hour late on Saturday and I'll pick you up at 6 instead of 5, because the kids may not remember. They may mess up the message. They may sabotage the message for their own reasons. You don't want to force your kids to be under the stress of getting information correctly. They're still children. Even older teens can make a mistake in communication. So use those tools, and it keeps everything very clearly right in front of you, and that's very important. And take advantage of books, courses, groups, and other resources like that's available now as never before, because it'll make a huge difference in the success of your family dynamic as you move beyond divorce into long-term co-parenting.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is incredible. I love those tools. Absolutely wonderful. Now, let's talk about time management, because one of the things that we struggle with as business owners, especially at the level that we are playing on, and I know many of our listeners here do the same thing, is having a very good time management. And would you have any tips for time management when it comes to this area?
Yes, it's important to be able to communicate with your co-parent so that you could manage all facets of time clearly and effectively and efficiently, and be able to cooperate, because you both may not have the same styles of time management, but you need to put everything in writing and you need to discuss it. And if you can't talk on the phone, again, use those scheduling tools so that everything is in text, in email, in some form where it's printed and you could both rely on it and depend on it for up-to-date information. You will both need each other to cooperate. And so the more cooperation that you give to one another, the more favors you do for one another, the easier the process is going to be long-term. And I have to remind you that co-parenting is a lifelong experience. You will be co-parenting your children not only in the months and years ahead, but in the decades ahead, through the experiences of graduations, happy birthday parties, marriages, grandchildren, all of that. And so you have to look long-term and manage your time in the most respectful, effective, mature, responsible ways so that both of you benefit from the experience as well as your children, obviously.
Excellent. Where would you get perhaps news or updates about this area that, Bill, in our audience and anybody listening that you perhaps trust, or the people you trust, that we can put in our black book, so to speak? Everybody knows about the black book that we have here. In your experience, where would you get your updates in this area and the news of what is happening in this world?
Well, you can always depend on the Child-Centered Divorce Network to provide information, updates, news, and information that's valuable to you just at childcentereddivorce.com. And if you Google child-centered divorce, you'll find many other resources, Divorce Magazine, and other blogs and resources that are child-focused. So if divorce and children are in the name of the group, the organization, the blog, the website, then they're likely to be talking in the realm that is important for you, family-oriented, child-oriented, and those people will have very similar aligned messages about getting both parents together on the same page in communicating with one another and in learning how to communicate with the children, and in reminding everyone that you are still a family, even if the family is changing and even if new partners are coming into the picture and there's step parents and all of those dynamics which are inevitably happen over the years. You are still a family, you are still parents, and these are still the children you love, regardless of what age they are at. So take advantage of the professionalism out there, but make sure you're talking to groups and organizations that are family focused and not focused in other realms, because those people are getting you off track and creating more tension and stress than is necessary for you and your family.
Awesome. Incredible. I'll have to check those one out. Do you think it's easier today or harder for new business owners like, Maria was talking to earlier on today, starting out than it was for you when you got started? And if it is, why? Or maybe why not? Yes.
Yes, in many levels, it's easier for new businesses to start today because there are so many more tools and resources and options for starting a business. But one thing that doesn't change is the responsibilities to your family side of your business equation, to the family dynamic, to your children, to your relationship partners. That doesn't change. And it's ever more important with all the challenges of social media and other distractions, ever more important for us to be mindful of the people we love in our family, to prevent divorce and breakups, and to give our children the security of a happy, healthy childhood. That never changes, and that's why it's very important to understand what we're talking about in today's conversation so that the people in your life know that they're important and valued and loved, and that you express it to them.
Awesome. We are just coming toward the end of our time here together. And, I always like to ask this question. Probably my listeners have heard me ask this many, many times. And it is, what final thoughts do you have to help motivate business owners to get started or take action right now and move their lives and their business to the next level?
Yes. Think about how you can create balance in your personal life along with your family and along with your business responsibilities so that you have a full and complete life. Understand that it's so important to give attention to the people that you love so that you're not just focused on the business. And when you are in your business, that you're fully there and present and working that out. Both sides have to work collaboratively and positively together. And if you are in a divorce or situation or post-divorce in co-parenting, then be very mindful about the responsibilities that you owe to yourself, that you owe to your co-parent, and you owe to your children, so that they don't become a second tier, a lesser important level, because everyone's life needs to be balanced, and your business will be much more successful when you're fully present doing your business work and fully present doing your parenting responsibilities. That becomes a complete balanced life, and everyone in your family dynamic deserves your love and attention and participation as much as possible when you can. And obviously your business needs your love and attention and responsibility as well. So if you create a life where there's space for both sides of the equation, you're most likely going to be much more happy, much more successful, and everyone will appreciate the attention you're giving to the balance in your life.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for a great interview. And I know there will be people listening today that would love to connect with you and really get perhaps to explore some of the aspects that we did not manage to talk about in this episode. Where can they connect with you? Where can they find you? Have you got a website, or is it just social media?
Yes, the Child-Centered Divorce Network, childcentereddivorce.com, is the website where all the information anyone needs about pre-divorce, post-divorce information, it's all there for you, childcentereddivorce.com. I have a free ebook on the homepage on post-divorce parenting, success strategies for getting it right. I have several ebooks and e-courses that are available on breaking divorce news to kids, co-parenting effectively, and divorcing as a co-parent, and anger management for co-parents. All of those resources are available, along with a ton of articles and blog posts. And you can also connect with me via email at Rosalind, ROSALIND, at childcentereddivorce.com. Rosalind at childcentereddivorce.com. Happy to talk with you. And I also provide a complimentary coaching session for anyone who wants to see if I'm a good fit for them in talking about specific dynamics related to divorcing and or co-parenting after divorce. So thank you so much for the interview. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a great conversation we've just had here today. And as we always say, never leave a place of discovering a new concept, idea, or a new way of doing things without scheduling a time when you're going to be implementing that. And the reason we do that is because when you schedule something, it is now known, proven that when it's scheduled, it is going to happen. And again, this is a coaching session. When you find yourself not doing what you had scheduled to do, you may want to find the reason behind not following through, because not following through in that area that thing that is stopping you from following through could be stopping you from following through on other areas of your life that you need to deal with right now. And once you find that reason why, you'll be able to follow through on all areas of your life that you want to achieve. So again, make sure you circle that and do everything you can do. And one of the things that we've put in place to help you make sure you follow through is the community. And I know many of you are already part of the community right now. But if you're not yet a member of the community, can I ask you, just click the link below and you'll be taken to an account where you create your own account. Download the app onto your phone and just dive in and start talking to other people and ask your questions and begin to help other people as well. Till next time, live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly, I believe it is truly yet to come. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.